Hello, I'm Joo PARK, Professor Emeritus of KAIST Business School in Seoul, Korea. Today I'll give a talk, part 2 of Keynote, Future Globalization and its Impacts on Business and Education. This is the contents of my talk today. What will be the future globalization? It is a prediction and nobody knows 100% for sure. But there are some trends in economy. There will be weakening neoliberalism. And from unipolar economic supremacy to multipolar, like G1 to G2 and G7. Also, there will be questions on free market capitalism. Market will still grow to be global, but on the contrary, supply chain will be from global to local. There will be continued technology innovations like digitalization, AI, big data, intelligent robots, 5G or 6G. In geopolitics, there will be more populism, protectionism, and also widening inequality. In environment issues, climate change issue will be continued, pandemic and energy issues. More fundamental question will be culture issue. The biggest question is individualism in the West versus collectivism in the East. Wearing mask for COVID-19, for example, is it individual freedom and right or collective social responsibility not to transmit virus to other people? Even in entertainment, there are trends from unipolar to multipolar to diversity, like Bollywood, K-pop, Squid Game, as you may know. This figure shows tripolar economic dominance of network of exports in final goods. What will surely happen in the future globalization? There will be tours, physical world and virtual world. Physical world is round and analog. Virtual world is flat and digital. The fusion of these two incompatible worlds is impossible. So we need to make clear boundary between the two worlds. What things can robots and AI do better? And what can only human do? So instead of fusion, we need to harmonizing or hybridizing the two worlds of atom and bit. In the similar sense, we can ask this question. What is human? Human is harmonized being of body and soul. There are spectrums of hybrid world. Hybrid world is coexisting physical and virtual world, which is contextual to socio-political and economic circumstances. physical world without digitalization, and virtual world with full digitalization. And our current world is somewhere in between. For country, there are more digitalized countries like Scandinavian countries, Singapore, and less digitalized country like Sub-Saharan Africa. For business and industry, there are more digital industry and more physical industry, like digital industry like ITIS, finance, and physical industry like food and retail. For education and school, there are online education and offline education, and business school is somewhere in between as well. There will be accelerated technological innovations such as robotics, AI, big data, IoT, and 5G and 6 or 7G. First, let me talk about robots. Can robots with AI replace human for all? I think there will be optimal percent of human versus robot works. There are service robots as well, such as Astro, which is for home security, and military robots, Ghost Robot, which is dog-like robot with sniper rifle. In the future, the war will be robot warfare. In Japan, there is Hana Robot Hotel. There are robot receptionists, concierge. But what happened recently, it created more work rather than reduce it because of the machine breakdown. So they fired half of robots, but still they operate. Let me ask a question. How AI creates smartness? There are two approaches. First is rule-based approach. The second is machine learning. These days, machine learning draws much attention, which uses neural network. Neural network is the layers of weighted sum, and we control weights to make inputs to feed outputs. It has many applications, such as image recognition, speech recognition, language translation. If you want to recognize images of rock, paper, scissors, for example, you can put 1, 2, 3 as output layer and image pixels of rock, paper, scissors can be input layer. With more image pixels, you can make it more accurate. But AI has limitations. The biggest limitation is causality question. We know how, but we just don't know why. There's also privacy issue. Who will be the champion in face recognition? America or China? It relates to the question on values. American value or Chinese value or universal value. So AI created great improvements, but it has inherent limitations. Intelligent results without intelligence. Babies recognize kitty cat in a second, but it is difficult for AI. There's also a question of meaningless patterns. Bonferroni principle of false patterns. Bonferroni principle is about probability of comparing multiple choices, which may lead to wrong outcomes. If you apply AI to social-political issues, for example, it may lead to disastrous outcomes. Let me explain AI further. Go challenge. AlphaGo versus Sedol. Go is complex board game, which needs creativity, intuition, and strategic thinking. Sedol is 18-time world champion. I think he's the smartest Korean and famous for unconventional and creative play. AlphaGo is AI software developed by Google DeepMind and uses reinforcement machine learning. There are 5 games of challenge. AlphaGo won 4 games and Sedol won 1 game. And most of people say AI won human. But Sedol won once and saved the dignity of human, I think. But how could Sedol win the first game? It was very unconventional move 72 to 76, and many experts said these are lost cause, but it turned out to be divine move, which showed weakness of AlphaGo. That's something not in the big data, or it shows Bonferroni principle trap. So how to win AI? Surprise AI with unconventional action to lead AI's erroneous behavior or panic. It is about human creativity versus machine creativity and singularity. But the fact is both have strength and weaknesses. Now let me talk about future globalization's impacts on business. There will be hybrid business environment, contextual to the characteristics of industry. Each business will face to adopt hybrid business model. Smart manufacturing, hybrids of robots, automation, AI, and human. Global digital marketing, which leverage SNS. Human resource management will focus more on continuous training and learning of new technologies and innovations. There will be hybrid work, hybrid working model, and central on-site offline versus distributed online. Value chain management will be changed from fixed single chain to flexible multiple chains to hedge risks. There will be smart management. Robots will replace manual routine works, which will affect first-line workers and clerks. AI may or will replace the most middle management. Top management. Can AI replace Jack Welch? So the organization as a whole will be flatter and speedier. For business, key success factor will be to maximize the potential of digitalization and virtualization. It is an imperative to succeed in digital transformation and smartification of business. In the future, many companies will be virtual corporations. It has holistic digitalization, digitalized information, work, meetings, decisions, and even thinking. And it will be the new normal of work, hybrid work of online and offline. But face-to-face, offline meeting and work are very critical for collective creativity, complexity, and innovation. So the work model will be hub and spoke distributed model. Hub will be the face-to-face meeting place. It is for weekly meetings, teamwork, monthly meetings, any routine meetings. Spoke is online remote work. Do solo tasks at home. At home, full online workstation is needed, which provides easy and comfortable remote work with full communication capability in 3D, like VR and AR, and leveraging smartphones. What are the AR, VR, and MR? Augmented reality is digital elements augmented by computer. Virtual reality is simulated reality with headset. Mixed reality is mixed of the two, like a simulated golf game, golf zone. And recently, many people talk about metaverse, which is 3D virtual world with avatars. But there was early version of metaverse, which is Second Life, and failed in 2003. Will the new name of Facebook, Meta, succeed? What do you think? This figure shows negative effects of COVID-19 by industry. The most affected industry is accommodation and food, then education, arts and entertainment, healthcare, and transportation and retail. The least affected industry is finance and insurance, utilities, etc. Let's talk about impacts on education. There will be hybrid education model, online, offline. Contents will be modularized and customized, online, offline specific modules, which will be combined for customized programs. There will be spectrum of courses as well. Some courses have more human contents, and some have technology contents. Courses like strategy, innovation have human contents and needs more discussion type class. For pedagogy, there will be collaborative teaching, traditional one-to-many lecture type to many-to-many. Think about ideal class of AI. It may be better with computer scientists, roboticists, neuroscientists, psychologists, and others. And team-based learning is good for discussions and creative thinking. Many people say online big class is good, which will be economically efficient, but it is very ineffective in learning. So class size is better to have smaller class. For example, 15 to 20 students with 3 to 4 teams of 5 students, considering span of control. Schedule should be specified by online versus offline, single teaching versus collaborative teaching. And grading need to be based on team-based evaluation of reports rather than conventional individual tests. Let me talk about socialization, such as offline beer time, lunch together, cultural events. Think about why students go to business school. Both learning and socializing, human network. Human network is not less important than learning, so should be emphasized. What will be the risks and opportunities of business schools in the future globalization? There will be risks. In fact, online e-learning will cause deepening polarization. We need provisions of facilities and devices which will differ between business schools in advanced countries and business schools in less developed countries. There will be difficulties as well. Student recruitment and financial troubles. Online will drive fiercer global competition as well. There will be opportunities at the same time. Hub of continuous learning. Future globalization demands people lifelong learning. So the business schools can be the new training and education center with special customized programs with modules. There can be global cooperation, global joint programs, co-teaching classes, shared seminars. If you want to study TSMC, Samsung, or BTS, for example, What is the best thing to do? Collaborate with business schools in the corresponding countries. That's Dean's role and responsibility. Global class is, in fact, the celebration of diversity. My own experience of global class in the fall of 2019. That's my last class at KAIST. There were 15 students, as you can see here, all from different countries. And we experienced great benefits of diversity and all enjoyed exceptional learning. The course was Innovation Management, the Asian way. Final words. Future globalization will be hybrid world. It has impacts on countries, business, education, and business school. Future globalization will incur risks, but is a golden opportunity as well. In the end, one that successfully innovates will survive and win, similar to survival of the fittest. Then the last question, how to do successful innovation? I may give a talk or write a book on innovation strategy in the hybrid world, hopefully in the next year. So, see you again. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. 감사합니다.